It's the perfect time for Ohio State's offense to shift into fourth gear and unleash its full potential.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Hump Day edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's show, we will discuss if Ryan Day should make changes during the Buckeyes off week. But before we get to any of that, you know it's a week where the Buckeyes are playing football. Well, week in the season where the Buckeyes are playing. And we got to get my guy Jeff Hunt on the show at some point. It's Jeff Hunt, the host of the Jeff Needs Sports podcast. And Jeff and I were talking for probably 20 minutes before hopping and hitting record because that's just what we do. And one thing I didn't throw at Jeff before in our pre-show chat was something that I think Ohio State should do when they return off the off week and they play Penn State. Jeff, it seems like Ohio State has been moving methodically throughout the season. Kind of had training wheels on Julian Sayin, but they're trying to move him pretty slowly and not throw too much on him while he's the first-time starting quarterback. On defense, yes, there are a lot of guys that are really, really good. And Patricia has figured out ways to utilize them in different ways. And that side of the ball has been strong, very, very strong. But I think overall, Ryan Day is still offensively moving in a pace that was good for the first 7 games. But I think in the final 5 games of the regular season, as you're trying to prepare for the game against Michigan, cement your spot in the Big Ten title so you can at least try to win that game, maybe win it, and then go to the playoff. I think it's time for Ohio State to shift from third gear to fourth gear and just kind of ramp yourself up and get more playoff ready because this team is very, very good. They're the number 1 team in the country for a reason, but I think it's time to go into another gear because we see nobody can stop Ohio State's third gear. Bro, when they get into fourth gear, it might be lights out for the opponents.
Yeah, that's when you invited me on the show. And again, thanks to you and the Locked On Network for having me. That's exactly what I wrote down as my first note. But basically what I said it's time to take the O to the show. And what I mean by that is it's time to we all know as a person, if you're a couple, you're you work hard every week, you do a great job, you do really important stuff. But, sometimes it just feels good to put on some nice clothes and go out and show off a little bit and have a great time. We brag for 12 months a year about the talent that Ohio State brings in, the talent that's on the team. We brag about the quarterbacks. We brag about the wide receivers. You know what? Let's let them have some fun. Let's get crazy. Let's get them out there moving around. They're definitely there's no question that this offense is going slow this year. None of us really have the answer as why, and that's fine. And I'm not saying you'll never need to go to this pace and grind it out and all this, but you have these guys there. They want to have a good time. They want to get moving around. Let's start getting JJ in motion, getting him, distracting, the defensive backfield. Let's get Sayin out on the edge, get his feet moving, get him mixed up in the tussle a little bit. Let's get Brandon Ennis involved underneath. I think there's a world of yards available underneath on this offense because of how good, wide receiver 1 and 2 are. They proved last week again that Tate and Jeremiah Smith are just one of the best. I mean, I'm not going to say, that they're up there with Jefferson and Chase in 2019, but as far as quality of having 2 guys on a college football team at this level, you're pushing it. And so let's let some of these guys run underneath. Let's get some space for the running backs. You know what I mean? Let's get the tight ends involved more. All this stuff, you know what I mean? All the smoke and mirror stuff that we might be sitting here, if that's all they did, complaining about it, Jay, we might be like, hey, let's get rid of the window dressing. Let's just get at it. This is the opposite. And, it's time to give the country something to look at and be like, wow, at any point, there's 5 guys on this offense that A, are going to be in the NFL and B, can take it to the house. I think that's the thing. It kind of 2019 Ryan Day is what I'm thinking like that, with Dobbins and, and Fields and the gang. Like let's open it up. Let's have some fun. Let's make some excitement. Let's put the fear, in the teams, coming down the road. So yeah, I definitely think it's time to show everybody fourth gear.
Fourth gear is going to be scary. And you mentioned the 2019 team. I'm going to bring that up later on in the show because I think that can be tied into how this team can be in the next 5 games of the regular season and even beyond that, heading into the CFP. I think for Ryan Day this year with the offense, this shifting into fourth gear is not a defensive conversation. Actually, Jeff, it is. Because I don't think Ohio State has tapped into the full potential of the pass rush. I know we're going to talk a lot about the offense later on in the show. But Jeff, even in my notes, I was not going to put defense down because my thought for change is primarily offensively. But they got to get to the quarterback. And I don't know if it's them telling the guys to just keep contained. And if you rush 4, make sure you don't let the quarterback move up and climb in the pocket. Don't let the quarterback get outside, keep contained, keep control of the pocket. I don't know if that's what's happening, but my eyeballs are telling me I see that more often than not, and it's working. Don't get me wrong. Outside of Luke Altmaier, nobody has had any type of success against Ohio State's defense throwing the ball. So I think it's working, but while it's working now, it's kind of the training wheels thing. They had training wheels on Julian saying those things have finally come off. Set the dogs free, man. Let these boys out the cage and let them go after the quarterback. Because, Jeff, that might be the one thing with this defense that they let them out the cage. We're talking about a literal historic defense that Ohio State has this year.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And this is crazy, but my next note was it's time to let the defense take some risk and find out what they're made of. Like let's let them go to zero coverages. Let's let them do some fire blitzes and some jailbreaks and all these things and find out what the coverage is like. Let's put the pressure on the defensive backs that we know what we think is one of the best defensive backfields in the country. We know it is. We know it's one of the best defensive backfields in the country. Let's find out what happens when the pressure's on. Can they hold up man to man and give time? Because that you're going to need that. Because one thing I will say about Ohio State, it's not their fault. The quality of quarterback that they have played against is not great. So yes, they look great against Wisconsin. Yes, they look great against all these teams. Even Manning, I think we have found out at best is okay. Especially in the first game of the season. He's going to be better next year when they play him. I can assure him that. But so now we look at it and we're like, we don't know what's going to happen. Like if we play Diego Pavia tomorrow, it's not going to look like it has so far. And that's, me and Jay are always thinking like, what's it going to look like in the playoffs? What's it going to look like in the playoffs? You're going to see Simpson. You're going to see Pavia. You're going to see Stockton, who's playing better. You're going to see, Indiana, we assume is coming down the road at some point. Like you're not just going to be able to like basically keep a guy in the pocket and let him sling it because you're going to meet some guys that are going to sling it. So that's exactly what I want to see. And then Penn State is the perfect time. Penn State is still a team with great athletes. And they've got everything to play for against Ohio State, every reason to try and ruin Ohio State season. So that is the time to be like, we are nipping this in the bud. We're going to put the pressure on you. We are going to get your quarterback dirty and all these things. So I totally agree. You have to start doing that because you don't know when a guy's going to start picking you apart. And these kids can, and they're ready. And if they've got all the video, to watch and be like, okay, this is what's going to be open. Igbinosun, we know what his weaknesses are, all these things. And then now all of a sudden, you've got Caleb Downs literally playing just in the safety role. Well, that's the best case scenario. Like keep Caleb Downs at safety. Like he's still one of the best in the country, but now you've nullified what he does great. So do I think Patricia will do it? Yes, I do absolutely think he'll do everything we're saying. But again, it's another level up that we need to see in this team. And if they do level up with this defense, you're right. It's nasty, straight up nasty.
You know what can be nasty, Jeff? It's Ohio State's offense. They have some great traits, and Julian Sand's been amazing. But there's one thing about this offense that I think should shift for the offense to go to another level. We'll discuss that after the break. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, Athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same attention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs, with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. I love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making every rep safer. The swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. And the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy energy level each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. Thank you all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes. I'm making this show your first listen of the day. So, Jeff, you and I have had numerous conversations about one specific part of the offense that even you and I and Mo Murphy believe can improve. And I think this is one thing where you want to put, like Ryan Day and Hartline put training wheels on Julian Sayin. I think Ryan Day put some training wheels on Brian Hartline, the play caller, not the wide receivers coach, but more so the play caller. I think there's a reason why Ryan Day is moving very slow and methodical with the offense. It's not just because it's his mindset for the long haul. I think going too fast can hurt a new guy calling plays. But through 7 games, you would hope that a new play caller would find a way to get into a rhythm, to get some consistency, even if it's just through the air, all game long. It doesn't seem like that's happening. And some of the stuff that's happening, you're seeing guys on the offensive line jumping off sides or having some boneheaded penalties. Those are things that are reflective of the players, but also you're wondering, why is it happening week after week? If there's a time to make a change with the offensive play caller, Jeff, I think right now would be the time. Or if you don't want to change it and have a new play caller, do what Ryan Day did a year ago in between the Oregon loss and the Nebraska game, where Ryan Day spent all of his time with Jim Knowles saying, look, what's happening isn't good enough. We have to make some changes. And I think for Hartline to have mutual respect, but Day is still the boss. And Day has to answer for things that are happening with the offense. So I think he should have, and I hope he is having currently, conversations with Brian Hartline about how the offense should change, how it needs to change, because something has to change. This offense has not gotten to a consistent rhythm. There is no running game and passing game, good flow and rhythm throughout the season. And so I think Ryan Day should do that, and I hope he currently is.
Yeah, it's funny because one of my other notes was it's time to take the training wheels off of Hartline, not the quarterback. We're on the same page here. It's definitely, there's definitely a thing. Like it's a thing. Like the Hartline conversation amongst Buckeye Nation right now is probably the biggest conversation. And we talked about it before the show. This isn't saying he's terrible, saying he can't do it. It's just me and Mo Murphy talked about it earlier in the week. And, Mo, obviously his opinion was, hey, we got a new offensive coordinator, we're kind of bringing him along slowly, getting him ready for the moment. And my opinion's always been Ohio State's not a training job.
Correct.
Like I know that, how we feel about Hartline, believe me, we love Hartline, but this is if you're not ready for it, just like, what happened with what we perceive happened with Knowles last year. If you're not ready for it, like Day cannot go down swinging with this. I don't know. So he's either needs to get a handle on it and get a fix. And I think they totally can. I do feel like they work good together. It's not like it's totally disjointed. We understand that because it's almost so frustrating because they have a mix of plays that when you see them, like I thought Hartline's red zone last week was really really good and I saw some great stuff. I text you and Mo about it, like, oh, that's what I want to see. That's the misdirection. That's the, that's the showing one thing and giving them another kind of stuff. So he does a lot of things, well. So but again, we already talked about it. You got all these players out there. They want to go. They want to get moving. You can also play fast. You don't have to run a ton more plays. We talked about 2019. That team to score only ran 5 or 6 plays a series to score. So it's not like they're not out here running, they're not the run and shoot of the 90s. Like they were just efficient and got it done and then got off the field and then, let the defense go back on. So like, it's not about running a volume of plays. It's not about, just hurry up to the line of scrimmage and get the throw off, that we see from, a lot of other teams. But you're exactly right. What we keep talking about, the other team's linebackers don't seem to be confused. And that is the telltale sign of any offense of, how effective you are, is how there's a reason that they call out the mic before every play. And because that's what the blocking schemes hinge on. Everything still hinges on the center of the field. And we do not seem to be getting them out of sorts. We're better than them.
Yeah.
We've been better than every, set of linebackers so far. We've been better than all the safeties so far. We know that Tate and Smith can catch it in traffic and all these things, but we're not compromising them like we should on a regular basis. Sometimes they call a play and I'm like, unstoppable. No team in the country can stop it. So can Hartline put a dossier together of that play? But has he figured out what Sayin loves to run, what he's comfortable running? Is that what's happening here? And then we're going to see it unleashed and be like, these are the 30 plays that Julian Sayin is awesome at. Which it seems to be most of them with his footwork seems to be can really open up the playbook. So that's the thing. Is there a master plan or is this a learning curve? And I think that's what we're all nervous about.
Jeff, there's one thing that I want to praise Hartline about before going into another topic surrounding Hartline and Day. And it's about Julian Sayin's development this year, because there are times in play action, you can feel a rhythm, even while you're watching it on TV, saying, oh, there's a rhythm with the way that he gets the ball, how he's faking the handoff. That should be a touchdown. And it's only supposed to be a touchdown because of the receivers he has on the outside with Tate and Smith. But over and over and over, we have seen those plays, and I'm like, oh, it's a touchdown because of the bounce and the rhythm that I see in Sayin. But he sees something I can't see on the TV copy, which is safeties over top, and they are shutting everything down. And so instead of just throwing it up in harm's way and hoping your guys make miraculous catches, he is throwing it short, maybe to a tight end, maybe to a running back, maybe to a slot receiver. And that's growth, not just from a young quarterback, but also from a young offensive play caller. Because Hartline can say, look, man, I know we feel the rhythm you have when you fake that handoff, but try it every now and then. Try a deep ball. I mean, Jeremiah Smith, Randy Moss, they both can go up there and make those catches. Just try it. Just do it. Put them on a poster. But he is not forcing that. He's saying, look, there are times that's going to be open and you have to do it. Tate in that big boy catch he made in the end zone. There are also times when it's comfortable and it's okay to just check it down and throw it short. So Hartline, as for the lack of rhythm that sometimes the offense has, you got to give Hartline credit as the OC for saying, look, man, it's okay to throw it short. Stay ahead of the sticks, live to fight another day, and you don't have to throw everything deep just because you have two guys on the outside that are wide receiver one on any other team in the country.
No, that's a great point. And I don't think I can really say enough about Sayin. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I know it sounds like we're being hard on Hartline, but as far as like what he's done, bringing a new quarterback along, and what he's done as far as like, trying to keep everybody happy on the outside. And I'm not saying they would complain, but like they want to have fun. They want to catch the ball. Yeah. These guys are, type A's out there. Like they both know how good they are and they both understand it. I mean, we perceive Smith as having a kind of just a ho-hum day. I think he had 9 catches versus Wisconsin and 100 yards, and we barely talked about him. So that's the level that we're at. Saying, congratulations to like whoever trained him as a quarterback. The footwork's perfect. The arm angles are perfect. Like you don't have to teach this guy a lot of the rudimentary stuff to bring him along. Like that was installed. So, yeah, you're right. Give Hartline credit for that. Again, and making him comfortable and letting him do the things that he wants to do. Definitely not. And I think it's important, like, I don't want to overlook of not putting a team in a position to be like, what are you doing? Why are you almost getting upset? Why are you, by Wisconsin? All these things, they're not putting themselves in a position to be like, as much as Jay and Jeff say take some chances, we also don't need a 17-10 game going into halftime versus Wisconsin, because Julian Sayin threw a pick six or something like that. So that's a great point. All I want to say is, like, thanks to Nick Saban, however he got Sayin to Columbus, all the credit. Simpson looks great down there in Alabama. That was a win-win. The kid looks great. It's awesome. He's got some feet. Like he's actually got a little, giddy up in him. So I think there's a world there. Like, one of my favorite plays Saturday was when he kept the ball and ran for like 9 yards and slid. I'm like, whoa, we could take that all day long. Like, he's not going to be JT Barrett, but we'll take that. So yeah, that's a good point. As far as, like you say, as far as what he does is he just likes the other team he just likes his team to catch the ball. Like, he just doesn't want to throw incompletions. You can tell that he's a tactician, and that's how he's cut. He's not a Will Howard. Will Howard was a different kind of cat. Like, well, he knew how to win games. He did not care about completion percentage. I'm not saying Sayin, I don't mean that as a negative, but I'm saying Sayin is like, I'm getting the ball to somebody, we're getting yards, and we're going to keep moving down the field. And that's also going to be necessary, especially if we're presuming they're going to get to the playoffs. They're going to be playing, in these dome stadiums and stuff like that, to where that's going to come in handy again. The next 5 weeks in, the Great Lakes area, we don't know what he's going to be up against, but we know at some point he is going to be on a fast track throwing against fast players. And that's when that stuff's going to come in handy.
Jeff, there's one conversation we had pre-show that we haven't had after I hit record, and it's about Ryan Day and Brian Hartline. We're going to touch on that when we come back. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Guys, we're in the midst of another exhilarating college football season, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games as low as $25. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. Guys, I love zone deals too. Pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thank you all for tapping and Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. So, Jeff, we have been, I think we might be on the same page with this in regards to how the play calling should be coming in the Penn State game and beyond. If there's a moment that Ryan Day should consider taking over play calling, I think the moment's now, but I'm not saying it should happen against Penn State. I think you do something to figure out if you have to call plays against Michigan because you don't want to lose that game, and then figure out the right time to take over play calling away from Brian Hartline so you can have it, so you get into a little bit of a rhythm, get into the flow, so then you can call plays against Michigan. And I think that Michigan game, I think they played Rutgers before that, I think that's kind of the sweet spot. If Ryan Day feels that at some point Hartline can't call plays against Michigan because Ohio State will lose, Ryan Day takes over play calling probably halfway through the game against Rutgers or in the middle of the first half, and then does the rest of the game, and then he calls the game against Michigan, and then the rest of the season. And it's not a knock against Hartline, the coach overall. I think he's a really strong coach, good receivers coach. He's even done some great things with the offense and leading that side of the ball. Play calling right now, when you're trying to win back-to-back national championships, you can't continue with the way things have gone. And I think Ryan Day, speaking of 2019, I think Day could tap into what happened in 2019 and get the run game going very quickly if he gets into a flow and just starts dialing things up.
Yeah, totally. And we talked about it before the show. And my number one thing was like as much as Ryan Day probably likes Brian Hartline, Ryan Day is not tying his career to Brian Hartline. Brian Hartline is going to move on to bigger and better things as he goes on. You know, he's still a young guy. Day is at the cusp of something historic here. And so I do not see him. And he did this a couple years ago. I think he kind of went down. I think his kind of went down swinging with Jim Knowles a couple years ago, and it probably cost him a national title. And I think he kind of, the beginning of last year was the same way, and I think it cost him an Oregon game. I do not think that he'll make that what we call a mistake again. It's not, like you said, there's nothing. It's not that Brian Hartline's inept or anything. We just happen to feel that Ryan Day is one of the best. I think he's one of the best play callers in the country. He proved it against Clemson in 2020. He proved it almost all of 19. I'll just say all of 19. And I'm sure that he is sitting there like, man, like looking at this team, he knows what he's got. I do love the frustration that Ryan Day has shown this year, because I think we all as Buckeye fans feel it. It's a good thing. It's a good thing because he knows what the potential of this. It's like, it's no different. It's like a race car. He's watching that race car out there and he's like, man, if I get behind the wheel, we can't lose. And I do think he believes that. I would hope that he's at this point to where he wouldn't let anything personal get in the way of that, and wouldn't let, Hartline's, career, upset his. If we think that that's the issue, we don't know that these two don't work, hand in hand together. And we don't know that they haven't worked something out, but now I believe now's the time, because the way I'm looking at it, Jay, is if this Penn State team that we're getting ready to play next week was the Penn State team that we knew in September,
good point.
We would be nervous. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be, but I'm saying we would be so critical right now, because everybody's kind of relaxed and been like, well, at least we're not worried about anything until the playoffs. That's just it's seeping in. And Nick Saban says it every week, the rat poison. Yep. But if we were talking about a Penn State team that just beat Oregon right now, we would be like, I don't think this offense, I'm worried about this offense. So we've said it 1,000 times. If we see it, does Ryan Day see it this time? And is he going to nip it in the bud, which I put, nip this in the bud, move on, come up with a different plan, either coach Hartline up, you're the head coach. It's your job to make, your offense, coordinator better, your coordinator's better. You're the boss. You're going to be the one that answers for it. So yes, now's the time. And I would think this week in practice, it's like, let me, show a couple things. Let's get this thing moving. Let me show you what I see. I'm giving Ryan Day a lot of credit for being one of what I think best play callers, offensive coordinators in the country. So yes, now's the time. Do not wait. Do not let Penn State sneak up on you because you're trying to let a new offensive coordinator grow.
Jeff, you saying that, I am on your side now, and it reminds me about something that Brent Venables did at Oklahoma, where the defense was an issue at times. Then all of a sudden, Brent Venables started calling defense again as head coach of the Sooners, and look what's happening to their defense.
Yeah.
It's literally, if Ohio State's defense wasn't lights out and clearly probably number one, if there is, and I don't like to rank them because it's so hard to rank them when you're playing all these different games and all these different players. But Oklahoma and Ohio State are up there as two of the best defenses in the country. I'm not trying to rank 1 and 2, but they're two up. They're in that top tier of defense. And the one thing I think about Oklahoma that Ryan Day can tap into is that Brent Venables is the head coach of the Sooners while calling the defense, and that was a game changer for that unit. For Ohio State, I do believe that Ryan Day calling plays, at least for this year, will be a game changer for the offense. And I'm with you. This is the time. I was thinking about, we'll give Hartline a little bit more time because you could win these games with him. But if you see a flaw, why wait? and you're smart. You're smarter than I am, Jeff. I
No,
shout you out for that.
I'm
But
just
man, no, you're right. You're exactly right, because I don't think that I would have connected Brent Venables in the defense being better with Oklahoma without him being like, well, this is what I do. It's just my job. And
yeah.
that was in
That's
my
why
head the
you
year
have the
before as
job.
well.
It's why
Yes.
you have the job.
Yes.
You've never failed. Ryan Day's offenses have never failed. Like, he's been very successful. And if you're standing there, don't let it happen. Like, get your arms around this thing and you guys bring it home together.
Jeff, we're going to save the conversations about the running backs till next week. Hopefully, we can find time to have you back on the show to say that conversation, because I think that's a worthy one to have when we have more time. Because if we did it now, it'd be like 2 minutes. I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that right now.
I got a lot to say.
Yeah, yes, we do. Yes, we do. He is Jeff Hunt, the host of the Jeff D Sports Podcast, frequent contributor right here at Locked on Buckeyes. Follow him on X at jhunt006. You can follow me on the same platform at jsteven07. Guys, we're up out here on a hump day. I hope you're enjoying it. Hope you're getting ready for another Buckeye football game. It's about a week and a half away, but you can start preparing for that game now. This has been Locked on Buckeyes on a hump day. We'll see you next time.